Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to the Should Smoking Be Banned or Not debate with our special guest, Juan Jose Restrepo, and me, an expert in the topic, Cristian Millán.
Okay, so I think smoking should be banned because it is one of the most dangerous and addictive vices people like to consume in these modern times. A vice is a practice, behavior, or habit generally considered immoral, sinful, or even criminal. In 2019, the statistics showed that 14% of every 100 US adults above 18 years are addicted to smoking. Another fact is that more than 16 million Americans with a silent smoking disease. People are not aware of the consequences this habit produces. Smoking causes cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung diseases, and every other body malfunctions this can cause. Besides, people who smoke affect themselves and people around them. Someone who doesn't necessarily need to smoke to get different types of cancer, since it's introducing the A, but the tobacco effect. 67% of smokers die from smoking-related illnesses, including lung disease, heart disease, and over 13 types of cancer.
Okay, so thank you very much. Now, smoking has had many restrictions and changes in its regulations since it became popular in the mid-60s approximately. Also, between 1960 and 1990, there were a lot of regulations of government and people that were searching for a better public health that saw smoking become an issue. So it's basically because of these restrictions that it's unnecessary to prohibit or eliminate smoking because basically there are already many restrictions and limitations for smokers to avoid other people being affected, especially third parties. So, just taking into account studies of 2019 and 2020 reports, 136 countries started implementing one of the six main global recommendations for smokers. Speaking of numbers and data, this is approximately between 4.7 and 5 billion people that represent a 65% of worldwide population. And these people are including these measurements, while the other people that are not including these measurements also have certain restrictions.
As you mentioned, there are 5 billion people in the world that live with the lack of smoking restrictions. In spite of this, there are another 2.5 billion people, or approximately 33% of the human population, that still is living under the negative effects of smoking on a daily basis. Besides, this vice is far from control. The statistics show that smoking are becoming a very difficult habit in young people between 17 and 18-year-olds. Young adults are becoming more and more addicted to smoking, proving that those regulations made to control and decrease the usage of cigarettes are useless. Smoking doesn't affect not smoke users. This is one wrong opinion people often have due to the fact that BMC medicine states that smoking does affect non-smoke users. It doesn't matter if the person is smoking or not. People still get cancer by getting close to a person who is smoking. These regulations are not meant to be to protect people who doesn't smoke. These regulations are only made for people who smoke and want.
Yeah, I know it's true that there are a lot of people, and that's like big numbers, that are affected by in third-party situation by smokers in the worldwide population. But it's because of those affection and disease and problem with other people that there are non-smoking areas and smoking areas for people who need it. For example, you can see in very developed or underdeveloped countries like Colombia or European countries that in public places like supermarkets or malls or even job areas, there are smoking areas for people that like to smoke and need it because it's a necessary device for them. So these places are far away from other people and make no contact areas for non-smokers. Mm, There's also some studies that have shown, like for example, thyroid cancer. That's one of the most common cancers in worldwide population. Gets reduced or controlled by smoking. So according to this, it's okay that giving more limitations to smokers is necessary, but eliminating it will also cause certain problems in people that might need it in certain situations. Okay, so after this, we're gonna have a 3-minute pause to drink something, then we're gonna resume this discussion in 3 minutes. Thanks. So after this short break, we're gonna end this discussion with our closing statements. So, okay, sorry.
Finally, we can affirm that smoking is a deadly vice that hasn't been controlled ever since it became legal and mass produced. This caused that the young generations became addicted to this horrible vice. The impact that smoking has had on the average life expectancy in the world has been terrible. An example of this will be found in the United States. Since 30 years ago, the average life expectancy was between 56 and 80 years. That was the average life expectancy from people. But since smoking has become so normal and daily, life expectancy was drastically reduced from 50 to 80 above or between the young adults to only about 48 to 70 years of life. The statistics showed nothing but facts. Smoking is hideous and people have to acknowledge that this vice is killing our people and that we have to put an end to this. In order to save ourselves, humanity has to admit the fact that our species has no self-preservation instinct and start making solutions to change this.
Okay, Professor, thank you very much. So we can conclude in recalling everything that I've said. In spite of the fact that smoking is one of the worst legal vices in our society.
Yo lo paré.
¿Es lo paraste?
Sí.
¿Cuándo?
Ahorita. Acabo de pararlo.
Bien, bien, bien. Sí, por eso. So, in spite of the fact that it's been one of the worst legal vices in society since the beginning of time, there's been a lot of people, enterprises, governmental institutions, public search enterprises also, that throughout the years, especially in the last 60 to 57 years approximately, have created a lot of solutions to benefit people from smokers and benefit smokers so that they can smoke in certain areas without affecting other people. Not only smoking areas, but also certain restrictions or limitations like non-smoking medications or non-nicotine cigarettes have been other facts that have been implemented so that people can be free of smoking and people that don't like smoking can be safe from this vice. These and many other hundreds of facts demonstrate that people who smoke, they almost in 100% of the cases do it because it's a proper choice and because they want it, and people who don't are really safe for people who do want to do it. So this is how we end the discussion. Thank you, Jose, for your time, and I expect to have you in another meeting.